everyone, for this Music Talk Tuesday, I'm going to be briefly discussing a few songs that I think reflect home and the sort of meaning of home and the emotions that are associated with home. So without further ado, let me get started by discussing this list of songs. The first song that I wanted to briefly mention is Home by Philip Phillips, which is a fairly recent song. It has been played, I think, consecutively on the radio, but I really like how the song addresses home through a comfort and safety standpoint. It seems to address the sort of hardships of life and how essentially home provides a sense of hope and comfort to somebody so that they know that they're not alone, and that they can always go to that one place that makes them feel like they have this sense of security. And I think that's really the true heart of the song, both through the instrumental accompaniment as well as the singer's voice. I think it's just one of those songs that, kind of hits home because it addresses home through a simplistic way, but it still leaves the lyrics open to sort of your interpretation. But they do kind of bring out these different senses of comfort and safety to the person listening to it, and in a way tries to sort of reach out to the audience and say, I'm going to make this place your home. I'm going to provide you with a sense of, belonging and provide you a sense of love and care. And I think that's really the sort of heart of the song, and kind of taking the person out of their misery or misfortune. So I think it really addresses home through that angle, and I think it really works because I think a lot of people associate home with a place where they can go to feel safe and feel happy and comfortable. So I think that's sort of the true heart of the song, and is definitely worth, I think, recommending. Now, the second song that I'm going to briefly address, and I know there's probably some people on That Guy with the Glasses who agree with the Nostalgia Critic and think Phil Collins sucks, but I personally don't feel that way. I feel like he is okay. I'm not going to act like he's a god among musicians, but I will say that he does make good songs, and at least in my opinion. And the song that I like in particular of his is called Take Me Home. And this addresses home in a very interesting and unique way. And instead of focusing on comfort and safety like the Phillips song, this song intends to focus on home as a place of freedom, a place of letting go of all of the sort of, I guess, chains that life brings down on you. It I think is more about trying to reach out to that one place and that one sense of belonging, at least from this song's perspective, because it says take me home, because I've been a prisoner all my life. It's almost like this song addresses it from a very powerful emotional standpoint, and does it in a sort of not, I wouldn't say it's aggressive, but it feels like there's a huge desire within the lyrics and with Phil Collins' voice to get to that state and basically take me home. So it addresses it from that angle, as opposed to the Philip Phillips song that focuses on trying to reach out to another person and trying to help them out and give them a sense of home. This one is addressed through the perspective of someone trying to get to that state. And that state of home, I think, reflects sort of a sense of freedom and belonging and breaking away from the chains of and burdens of life. And this could be, again, from, being at a job or doing things that involve maybe some sense of journey, and at the same time reflect a person's strong desire to ultimately go back to a place of true freedom and comfort and a sense of happiness. And I think that's really what this song in particular focuses on, as opposed to the Philip Phillips song, who's trying to take somebody out of hardship and give them a sense of love and comfort. So that's the Phil Collins song. The third song that I wanted to briefly address is called Homeward Bound by Simon and Garfunkel. And this is a very simplistic song, but still powerful in the sense of expressing longingness and wishing to be home, because that's where ultimately all the things that we technically care about are. That's sort of what home is supposed to represent, in particular within this song, especially when the lyrics address home where my love lies waiting silently for me, home where the music's playing. So those kinds of things are really what provide, I think, meaning to the narrator. And so those things are what he looks forward to when he comes home, and it brings out a sense of longing in him to go back to where he is. And that's sort of why it's expressed in a way. I wish I was homeward, by saying I wish I was homeward bound. And the interesting thing about the tone, it sort of has a sort of laid back attitude, similar to Home by Philip Phillips, but it's very delicate. The Home by Philip Phillips is a little bit more hopeful, and with Phil Collins, it's just straight up powerhouse. But this is, I think, the most relaxing and soothing out of all of the songs, because I think people think of home as a way to relax and unwind, and I think it only makes sense that Simon and Garfunkel would take this particular angle. But it is interesting, and I think it does reflect a lot of things that people enjoy when it comes to being homeward bound. Now, the fourth song, and second to last song that I'll be mentioning, is called Home by Edward Sharpe and the Magnetic Zeros. Now, this song addresses home in a very optimistic, happy-go-lucky tone. It sort of reflects how home is. It's not just a place. It's sort of like it's a sort of state of mind and feel, and is sort of a place of being, so to speak. And with this song in particular, it focuses on the place of being in love or being in that state. So the lyrics tend to focus on this aspect and sort of address it, I think, in a very unique way. It kind of has that storyline element too, like there's these two different people, and there's like two different sort of voices, but at the same time they kind of come together. And I think that togetherness brings out the sense of wonder and enjoyment that comes from being home. And home is more sort of a state of mind, a feeling. And I think that feeling is expressed by love within the song, because you will see that it is about two people being together and being home, which technically means home is whenever I'm with you, which is basically what's part of the chorus. So definitely, I think, a song worth recommending, and takes an interesting approach by being more happy and optimistic compared to the other songs that I've mentioned. Now, the last song that I'm going to be briefly discussing is Take Me Home, Country Home by John Denver, Bill Danhoff, and Taffy Nevert, and I hope I pronounced that correctly, but I might not. Now, this is a little bit more old-timey because it feels like a kind of older style, because it seems to reflect an older style, and it's a little bit more country than the other songs that I've mentioned. But it does have this sense of optimism, sort of similar to the last song that I mentioned. But it does give you a sense of wonder, and it does feel like that you are going on this journey to your final destination, which is ultimately home. And I think that's really expressed through the lyrics when he says, take me home, country home, West Virginia. You know, just take me to the place where I belong. You know, it's almost like the lyrics make you feel like you're just on that road to being back from where you were, and it kind of feels like it brings the sort of journey that you've been on full circle, and really that really you are going to the place where you truly belong and you're truly a part of. And I think that's just something that I think resonates with a lot of people, and I think there's a lot of power to it, maybe similar to the Phil Collins song, but maybe not as not so forceful. It's a little bit more flowy, but at the same time it does give you that epic grandeur of finally being able to go back to where you started from. But I think that's really ultimately all I can say about these songs in particular. But if there are any questions, comments, and or concerns, I'd be more than happy to answer them. But I think that's all I can really say. I hope you all have a wonderful day, week, month, and year, and thank you all so much for watching.